It's 104.9 Coyote Country. Good morning. I'm Robert Miguel. With me, special guest on the phone, Michael Earney. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. We're looking forward to seeing you here in town in Uvalde Wednesday for the big, book signing Wednesday afternoon at Progreso Memorial Library from 2 to 6 p.m. Is that the right time?
That's right. That's my knowledge. I'll be looking forward to being there myself.
Well, you have a wonderful accent, sir. Tell me, where are you from and how'd you get here?
Well, you don't have long enough for that. But I am from England, from London originally, and I've been actually living in Texas for more than I like to say, more than 30 years, that's for sure.
Well, hey, you know what? It's hard to leave Texas when you get out here and lay down some roots. So we're really excited to have you in town here. Now, you're going to be signing your book. It's the A to Z book of Wildflowers, now available at all your usual outlets, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and you're going to be doing a signing. From what I understand, you got this book, and you are just a phenomenal artist. I've seen your website. So let's talk about your art first of all, and I guess this book that you'll be promoting.
Well, before we do that, I'd just like to tell you that the A to Z of Wildflowers is my latest book that just came out this year. Before that, I have the A to Z of Weeds and Other Useful Plants, and before that, I have the A to Z of Birds. And the same format with one picture of a bird or a plant, and then the text about that particular bird or plant. They come in a hardcover and a softcover.
So you've got a series here, and basically it's your artwork and then a description. Would this kind of be like maybe what we'd call like a coffee table book?
Well, it's kind of a lightweight coffee table because it's only 26 pictures.
Okay.
With description, so it is not very thick. But I think the pictures are very good, and you could say it's a coffee table book from that point of view. Just something you would pick up and look at the illustrations and learn a little bit from the text.
So obviously you have a passion for birds and plants. What made you decide to not only research these, learn about them, and then later on paint them?
Well, I like to learn, and the researching for my books is what gives me pleasure, and then, of course, doing the books. And I just like passing on the things that I learn. I don't know if you know, but before I got into painting, I made documentary films, and the same thing applied there. I was learning all the time about the things that I was making the films about, and that just keeps me on that path of learning and then sharing what I discover and learn.
Now, as far as painting goes, what do you have any? First of all, what are the style? How do you do your paintings, and what is your training background?
Well, I don't really have any training. I've just kind of done it since I was very young. When it came to doing art as an artist per se, I didn't really start doing that until I moved to Texas. Since I don't like the smell of oils or turpentine, I have again felt like you do need some training to use that medium. Same with watercolor, that the mediums themselves require some understanding of how to use it. I just went for acrylics and felt like I could handle that, and I guess I can. And many people do think that I do watercolors because I use them in a watercolory manner, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And actually, the last couple of the birds were all watercolors, and the next two books have been a mixture of watercolor and acrylic. And the book I'm working on now, which is an A to Z of mushrooms, again is using acrylics and watercolors combined.
So what inspired you to get into, you're working on a mushroom book, you see mushrooms, you're like, hey, that would just be a wonderful subject. What inspired you to go the route of mushrooms?
Yeah, I do like mushrooms, and I have been collecting them somewhat during the years. I'm not a mycologist, I don't know much about them, but again, because I do like them, and once you start getting interested and you start doing the research, of course, they become even more interesting because they are interesting. There's an incredible amount of them, just like there's an incredible amount of wildflowers. When you think geez, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know that, and I haven't seen that one. You just kind of get caught up in it, and you can't stop.
Well, it is so neat because, like you said, you're from England, transplanted here to Texas, been here for several years, and your work, I'm looking at your website, which is EarneyWorks.com. That's EARNEY Works.com, and you've got some great stuff. It seems to be very Southwest influenced. You've got wildflowers, weeds, desert plants, Mexican produce, and some really interesting stuff here, Mexican masks. Tell me, please, and anybody that's listening needs to go to the website, EarneyWorks.com, and check out these Mexican mask paintings. Tell me about those. That's just something that sounds, especially as we're heading into Hispanic Heritage Month. I think these are very interesting.
Well, I've traveled throughout Mexico for several years, and I've actually been to every state in Mexico. And I was an artist in residence in San Cristobal de las Casas.
Wow.
Where I did that series of doorway paintings that you might see on the website.
The puertas, yeah.
At least I didn't do them there, but I photographed doors, and then when I got back is when I started that series of paintings. And so I'm interested in Mexican folklore and Mexican culture, and the masks just is another one of those things where I'll tell you exactly what happened. I had a book on my shelf in Blanco, where I lived. It was called Mexican Masks.
Mm-hmm.
I'd had it for many years and hadn't looked at it in many years. And it was just one thing where it just kept catching my eye, and finally I pulled it off the shelf, started looking at it again, as I hadn't been for years, and that was the genesis of starting that series of paintings. And then I went back to Mexico. I went to the National Mask Museum in Zacatecas, not in Zacatecas, in San Luis Potosí, and I went to the Rafael Coronel Museum in Zacatecas, both really, really fine museums that had incredible collections of masks. And then, of course, I started looking into them. Everybody that I asked, do you have any masks? And I photographed a lot of collections of people's masks, and then started that series of paintings.
Well, I'm telling you what, they are beautiful, and I just think, again, your body of work is, again, for a man of European descent, from England, out here, it just seems like you're really just making the best of your time in the Southwest, and it just sounds like you've just, like you said, you took up a residence. I mean, that's like something that I think a lot of people with an artistic inclination might think, oh man, it would be great to just go to Mexico and just kind of take it all in and photograph and paint, and you're living the dream. How do you fund this? Do you make a good living selling your art, or were you set up pretty well and you just decided, hey, this is just something I'm going to do, in my twilight years? What allows you to have this kind of life?
The ability to live on very little money.
That's starving artist kind of thing.
I've managed to survive for many years as an artist in one form or another. So I used to make those documentary films. And that was when I was in New Mexico, and in the credits on those films, one time I decided I'm going to put a credit on here for the government, because I've been living on food stamps and unemployment benefit. That's what's allowed me to make these films. And I live on Social Security now, which is not very much, but I can get by because I know how to get by. Most artists will tell you the same thing. They don't make a lot of money, but they do what they want to do.
Sir, the work is amazing. Again, we're talking to Michael Earney here. He'll be here tomorrow, Wednesday, at the Progreso Memorial Library, 301 West Main Street, for a author meeting and book signing from 2 to 6 p.m., among several other book authors as well. So please come on and make plans to go see him at the library tomorrow. Again, the website is www.earneyworks.com. That's EARNEY Works.com. And there's some fantastic art, especially if you're into that Southwest Mexican influence stuff. And I just think, sir, you might just be the most cultured gentleman I've spoken to in a while, and I hope that some of that just rubs off on me, because I just feel so much more artistic just having had a conversation with you, sir.
Well, I hope that this will encourage a lot of people to come and see their library there in New Valley, because it's a great library, and there's a lot of resources there, and I think they'll see some really nice books with the authors that are going to be there, and I hope they come with money to buy books.
Anything else you want to get out there? Any other websites, social media, or appearances that you'd like to plug before I let you go, sir?
I am going to be in Port Aransas for the Art About in October. That's the weekend of the 12th, 13th, and 14th, and I'll be signing books there at the Art Center. So, yeah, that's the only thing I can think of off the bat.
Well, I do appreciate you taking some time out of your morning to talk to us, sir. We look forward to seeing you and meeting you tomorrow at El Progreso Memorial Library. Again, Mr. Michael Earney, thank you so much for being on the show today, okay?
Well, I appreciate your doing this, and I look forward to meeting you.
Real Country with Robert Miguel.
Coyote Country.
104.9.